Yeah, there's a big knot on the end of this short stave. It's too short for any of my friends to use. It's going to be cut off here behind the knot at 65 inches. And I'm going to draw out a bow and see what it looks like. Well, this was interesting. Made a little youth bow, was working on making a little youth bow. And as I'm sanding, look what happened. The wood fibers just came apart while I was sanding. Look at that. So I don't know if there was an internal crack to begin with or whatever, but you know. But that happened. Okay. Maybe I'll trim it up. I don't know. Well, I believe I saved the little youth bow. That was weird. I was sanding and the piece, I made it thinner. Okay. Both sides. Retapered it a little bit. And, you know, floor tilted it. It's really, it's going to be a lighter bow. And all I'm going to do is just heat treat it, fire harden it. It'll be a kid's bow. It'll be the first experimental bow. I wish it could have been more pounds, but that split ruined everything. So that was so weird how when I was sanding, the wood just splintered off. I guess maybe because it's so sopping wet. But anyway, I recovered. I trimmed it up, made it thinner, lighter. You know, it'll be a real low pound bow, and it'll be the first bow. And we'll heat treat it, and I'll waste some coals and fire harden it and just see how it shoots. It's an experimental bow because the stave was too short for any of my friends with the long draws to use, and I could get away with it. So let's see what I come up with. All right, looks pretty good though, considering what I had, you know. So this will be continued. Okay, I have to see what the moisture content is because this wood is really wet. So here we go with the moisture meter. $38% moisture. I never got a reading like that ever before. Okay, this one has 15. Try this one and then we'll be done. That one's got 12, but this one here, 44%. And I started to make a little short, like a lightweight bow out of the raw stave. And the weird thing happened as I was sanding it down on the belt sander. Grain split. It wasn't a runoff, it was straight strip. Never had that really happen before. And so I peeled it off and I said, let me trim it. And I trimmed it and I saved it. It's going to be a little short, lightweight bow. And, you know, got it floor tilted easy. And so I got the moisture meter out, and the difference in the staves, like 12, and one of the big pieces of wood was like 43. I never got a reading like that before. All right, and this one I tested this morning is 15. All right, 15 moisture. You know, these are raw staves. So the idea is later on I'm gonna put this on a backset jig. Part of my fire hardening is I put this on a backset jig, heat it up. I clamp it from the center, work my way down, heat it and clamp it if it goes. And this flexes a little, it should go with the heat. And then when I'm done, that removes most of the moisture. So when you fire harden it, there's not that much moisture to boil and split the wood. Okay, so the heat gun is part of my process. So what we're going to do today is got my recurve jig in. We're going to see how this bends with a heat gun and see if it bends. I'll spend some time heating it, seeing if it goes, if it bends, if it don't. And if it don't go, well, that's fine too. We'll have to try steaming it another day. This is a pretty thick piece of wood, you know, and what we're going to do is I'm going to heat it up and see if I can get it to start bending. And if I do, at some point, if it wants to go, I will clamp on the strap here and use the strap to bend it as I heat it. I have been going at this for 25 minutes and it don't want to budge. It's not budging. Okay? It don't budge. So I'm not going to spend the whole day on this scrap piece of wood to try and see if I can get it to bend. But look at the color. You can tell it's been heating for a long time. Okay, I have it on the backset jig. I have this clamped. These two are flush without any pressure. And then this here will have to, as we heat it up, the idea is we heat it up, we'll get it to flex, and hopefully it'll flex nice and easy, and I'll be able to clamp it. All right. Now that big, thicker piece that I tried to recurve, heat bend, didn't want to budge. But we're not going to force this. If it goes, it goes. It don't, it don't. And what I'm going to do is go back and forth like this, and always put the clamps away from you, so you don't have to go around the clamps. You have a nice smooth passage, and you could heat this up. You start from the center and work your way out. At the 10-minute mark of going back and forth from riser to the end here, I was able to get this clamp down and almost flush, but the end has to, and I can get this one flush now too. So I'm going to put a clamp on here and reset the timer on my phone for another 10 minutes, and then we're going to leave it. I'm going to work on the other limb, and if I have time today, this is going to get fire hardened. This limb, I believe, might be a little thinner. Okay, it's a little thinner. And like I said, this is going to be a low pound bow. And this one just flex down nice and easy with no stress. But I'm going to heat this up for 10 minutes. Make sure the clamps are snug, and then heat it up for another 10 minutes. So okay, both sides have been heat treated. And the next step was going to be reverse these clamps and fire harden it. But I'm going to take this off and I'm going to show you something. I see like another, what appears to be the wood splitting a little bit. Splitting. The other day with the, when I was sanding it, it had a split along the grain straight. Okay, what I noticed here is a little split developing. Okay, this is the side that's split down. And I'm going to just take it out and see if I could sand it. If I could sand it, I'll continue. And we got some little splits from the heat, I guess, here from the moisture of just that little bit of heat treating with the heat gun. So let me see if I could take that off. I just went outside and made sure, you know, I had sanded that little bit of lift off, and I made sure the edges are nice and round and smooth. I feel nothing catching. And I'm going to go build the fire and fire harden it. Just because we got to follow the process. We got to see how this wood's going to turn out. Okay, I've reversed the clamps so it can be hanging and the screws aren't into the fire. I'm going to go outside and start the grill, and hopefully the wood don't splinter. That seems to be a pattern with the heat or sanding. Maybe the heat from the sanding made it separate. But let's check the moisture content now that I heat treated it. And that's why I always heat treat first with a heat gun. Okay, it's reading 0, and it usually does read 0. Oh, this reads 6. So 0 means 5 or less. Okay. 6, I got 6 in the riser. I got 0 here, so it's 6 or less, which is good. 6 or less is good for fire hardening. So we're gonna go outside and see what happens. Okay, the process has begun. It's gonna take about 10-15 minutes to get them coals ready and we'll start cooking. Okay, to stop Hornbeam, we have 12:30 start time. Remember, your important equipment are fireplace gloves and a stick to knock the coals around the way you need them. And remember, by the riser here, you really don't want too many coals under the riser. Okay, because the riser is the lowest spot by 2 inches. Okay, but you do want some coals there just to get that heat going. Okay, so now that we got this set up on here, here's where we start adjusting to get the coals kind of even. You have to put more on the end. Okay, put more on the end where the bow is bent up. Okay, with the staves bent up. Okay, and we're trying to go for like a 5-inch depth of coals throughout the whole cook. Okay, down here. And throw some more coals down here. I always keep coals in the back of that grill so I could just add them on. So we need some more here, maybe a couple more there for the height. Okay, you can see I built up coals on the end. Okay, very little coals on the riser so it don't burn. And we're going to check it. You know, check it now and then. There's no set time, but make sure you check it at least every half hour, and check your clamps to make sure that when the wood shrinks, you snug them up a little bit. Okay. Okay, it's always something interesting happened on the right side of that jig. The wood combusted while I was there, and I was able to take the glove and put it out. But apparently, this wood has to be a little higher when you're cooking it. It can't be as low as the hickory. So be mindful that wood usually combusts at 300 degrees, and for some reason this wood here, maybe because I dried it first and it's pretty dry, we had some flames going when I put it out. And the other thing is, it's been going for 15 minutes, and I checked the clamps, and the clamps had to get turned a little snugger across the whole board. I figured I'd tell you some interesting thing that I discovered. Flies are really attracted to these staves. I was sanding and cut some wood, and I put the wood on the side, and when I looked over, I was like amazed at all the flies that were around it. I don't know if it's the sweetness, a certain scent, but it certainly don't repel them. They like it. So just figured I'd tell you that. It's an interesting fact. It's been going for 45 minutes, and this is the second time I knocked ashes off. Knocked the ashes around with the stick and added coals. And look underneath, okay? It's really getting light color here. And this is where we had that spontaneous combustion. Flames I put out with the glove. And over here, we have a slight color. Very slight, not much on the end here. I lowered it, and hopefully we'll get a little more color than we had. I just got to really watch that this wood don't burst into flames again. You know, it happens. So we'll see what happens. It's, like I said, it's 20 after 1. We start at 12:30, and I'll just keep on checking it. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. It's coming along. I lowered the end over here. I wanted to try and get that end over here cooked a little bit more, and I'm going to do the same for the other side over here next. Okay, we're just heating the other end up, the other tip, and it'll be done shortly. This is here where we had that spontaneous combustion. Poof! And it went on flames, and I put it out with the glove. This will all sand off. Like I said, it's going to be a low pound bow. Hopefully there's no more cracks. And we're going to put it in the house, and we're going to let the moisture content kind of normalize, stabilize. And tomorrow or the next day we'll put string grooves, and we'll color it and see if we got a bow, if it breaks or not. Like I said, this is Adventures in Hornbeam. We never used this wood before, and it's sopping wet. It was sopping wet when we split it, and we're going to see what happens. Got to try it. I removed the clamps, and that's a good sign that it stayed. It has back set. Now the thing is, let's see how bad it's going to be. You know, hopefully it isn't too bad when I sand it to tiller it. Okay, there is a pretty deep split here, but it's a little thicker, and I don't even want to flex it now until it gets some moisture back. I don't want to do that. We want to let it sit overnight and regain some moisture, and check out the back set. Check out the back set. Okay, hopefully we'll make a nice bow out of it. Maybe a little wishful thinking, but I put screen grooves in both sides, and right over here, I see another like little grain lift. And here's a deep gouge. I was going to put a little AE40 in there just to fill it up before I tiller it tomorrow. Or maybe just a little type on, I'll see, maybe a little type on, I don't know. But this, I'm gonna have to go out and see if I can sand it, kind of make it disappear. So this is the little fire hardened hop hornbeam bow that the fibers kept splitting for some reason. Maybe because it's wet. Look how narrow the limbs are gonna be. Look how narrow they are. I had to narrow them. Okay, I was worried in the back about this split over here, this little cracking from the heat, but I think it's going to be okay. I may put a little glue in there, okay, for preparation of tomorrow. I got string grooves in. We're going to let it accumulate moisture overnight, and we're going to do a little tillering tomorrow and see if we get a little kid's bow out of this or what kind of bow we get. Okay, I filled in that crack with a little AE40 epoxy just to give it a little structural stability, and tomorrow we tiller it. Good morning. This is my fire hardened hop hornbeam experimental bow. It wound up being 62 inches, and it was soaking wet, and the wood variation was like 40-something% to 15% in the wood staves. And I'm into cutting the green trees and heat treating them, fire hardening them, and this way you get a bow out of a raw tree as soon as possible. So when I rough trimmed this particular bow, you know, I rough trimmed it, and I used it on the belt sander to sort of get the even taper of the thickness of the limbs. I think the heat from the belt sander may have caused the wood to either boil or whatever and split, the grain split. I had a split, I went, oh my God, look at this. I pulled it and it ran down the length. I was able to grab it and pull off a straight grain strip of wood. So I said, oh, this isn't good. This isn't going to be good. So I wound up narrowing these limbs. They're only 1.25 inches. And it's a 62-inch bow. And I noticed after I fire hardened it too, one of the edges had a little bit of a lift. I guess maybe where it was tapered, or so what I did was I said, oh, maybe this is the end of it. And I went inside and I was able to, on the belt sander, take it and make it disappear. So what have I learned? I learned, I think, once I cut the raw shape out, I have to be careful. I should let it dry either with a heat gun a little bit, and to get some of the moisture out. Maybe let it set, maybe do it twice, you know, with the heat gun, a little at a time, you know, so the wood don't split or crack, you know, by removing it too much. And the other thing, when I fire hardened it, I usually go like 5 inches with the hickory, and I watch it. You know, I watch it, make sure the wood don't smoke like it's going to combust. You know, wood combust around 300 degrees. With this, I had it, and all of a sudden, poof! Well, I was right by it, and I used the glove to put it out. So, but that's this here, this char, right? Poof! And with the glove putting it out. So this wood here, you know, every wood's different. You know, wood has different chemicals in makeup, composition. You know, some wood burns. You know, it has chemicals in it that burns, like fat wood or whatever, or pine will burn faster, you know. So with this hardwood, I think what we do is, when we fire harden it, I'm gonna put it like, instead of 5 inches, maybe 6 inches and watch it. So if it takes a little longer to cook, that's okay. Just a little higher on the coals than normal. All right, that's just trial and error. I really don't know what I'm doing. I only did this since December. I started making bows December. So now we're at the point where there's string grooves in it. All right, there's like 8% moisture in the handle after fire harden it. The limbs still say 0, but 0 means 5% on that meter, okay? What do I think is gonna happen? I'm gonna put it on that tillering stick, the micro tiller it, pull it down a little bit and check the limbs out. And I think it might break, but I'm hoping it don't. All right, look how thin the limbs are. It's gonna be a youth bow, but yeah, when I go to pull it a little bit, it's pretty stiff wood. You know, it's a different composition. So let's, I'm gonna stop it here, and then we're gonna put this hop hornbeam on that with the camera rolling and see if I pull it down a little bit. It's got a short, long string. See, it's long, but it's short. And see if I can get it to that first notch without it breaking, and see what it looks like. And then if that happens, it's rainy today, I don't know if I'm going to finish tillering it. I just want to see if it breaks or it don't today. So here we go. I'm going to reset up. Okay, let's see if I can get it down to the first notch for tillering. Well, it's flexing real easy. I hope it don't break. Very springy wood. Okay, it's got a big bend there. We got a little off going on this side, and this side here, it's could be the shape of the wood, or it has to have a lot of material taken down here. I'm gonna push it and go down one more notch just to see if I can get it to flex. Okay, we got a little off going on, and I can remove some material from here. And we got a big bow here, so a lot more material's got to come off there. All right, it looks like I may get a youth bow out of it. It's very springy, which is a good sign. It's starting to drizzle now. I hope I can get away with working on this. It's very springy, and I think I might be able to get away making a nice little bow with it. Wow, I'm looking forward to making other bows because it didn't break at this point. I think everything's going to work out good. I think we just have to watch the moisture content, be a little more patient, and let it dry a little easier. You know, be mindful of how quick the moisture comes out of these. I think that might have to do with the grain split. I'm gonna take off some material. We're gonna see what happens. Okay, just so you know, I flipped the bow around. From now on, the limb that was darkened is gonna be the top limb, and that's gonna be over here. This is the limb that didn't have a good bend, and I took off some material. And every time you take off material, you round the edges with sandpaper. So we're gonna do a little flexing. It's gonna be like a really light bow for a kid. And then we're gonna just put it down and see what we got here. I hope it don't break. From the fade out here, this is the limb that has a big bend, okay? We got like a 2-finger bend there. And over here, this was flat. and it's coming along. We got like one finger here, it's coming along. Okay, we gotta have to fade out here. Okay, it's hard to get. Okay, but look, see? So where we gotta take off material? From here down. Okay, here we gotta take off material on this outer edge here. Okay, that outer, the outer third, okay? And then we'll come back. Just want to give you a little update. It's getting there. I'm not going to keep on boring you with me flexing it and measuring it. I got a string on it, and this limb still needs to go quite a bit more. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to put it on here. This is the top limb with the scorch. And we're going to look with a straight edge so I can narrow down where I got to take the material off. Okay, so this one here is bending. I'm going to fade out pretty good except the outer edges. All right, so once we get that one bending, if we need more room to draw, it'll come from the ends. Let's look over here. Coming along. See what we got? We got 2 finger bend over here, 2 fingers in the middle here. Okay. We got almost 2, we got like 2.5 fingers, 3 inches over here. All right, so let's look at this and see where the material's got to come off. Okay, we'll just take it off pretty evenly, I guess. Well, they say the perfect bow is 9/10 broken. So I have an even tiller now, and I don't want to put it on my pulley jig because I won't be able to feel when it's going to break or when it's stacking up. So I want to just exercise it by hand and say, okay, that's far enough, and then see where I could take material off. So just in case it breaks, you know, for entertainment value, let's see. It's at 26.5. It reaches my 26.5 inch draw. Let's just check this out, see if it breaks while I'm doing this. Wow, this little thin bow is 28 pounds. 28 pounds. That means that, look at the size of these limbs. They're thin as could be. They're less than half the thickness of my, you know, my 47-pound hickory bow. They're really thin, and they're narrow. They're only like 1.25 inches. And wow, wow. It didn't break. £28-pound bow. Okay, I'm gonna try increasing the brace height a little and see how it feels. Okay, as you know, I've only been making bows since December, and I feel I came leaps and bounds, and I'm learning every day. All right, so I want you to check this out. Look at the tiller on this little bow. Crown shelf, radius, slight radius to this. That all has to be sanded. This is all rough done. I'm waiting for Chris Bartik to come over. He's going to show you he's the one who got this hop hornbeam from his property, and we split the staves. And he's going to show you his hickory bow from his property that you've seen him shoot, and he's got antler tips he put on it. So we'll be here in a little while. But I just wanted to show you an update. I'm not going to shoot this until he comes over, and we're going to get like some 700 spline arrows or something just to see. So hopefully while I'm doing this, you can check out the profile and it won't break. Okay, let's see. I got to lower the knock actually. I'll set the knock when I go in the house. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to just check the weight one more time, and we're going to see what it is. Because I had to retiller it a little bit. You know me, I just can't leave it alone. It's got to be the most I can make, the best I can make it. Okay, it's 26 pounds. It's 26 pounds. Perfect bow, okay? Perfect tillering, perfect everything. Really happy. From what I thought was going to be, this turned out was an experiment because we never used this wood before. And like I said, I learned a lot. I think a lot of the problems was because this wood is sopping wet. And you got to dry it slowly. You know, I think we should take these staves that are wet, shape them, and then you know, try to reduce the moisture slowly, whether it's a heat gun on a backset jig a little bit, walk away, come back, heat it again, and then fire harden it. But let me show you something else too with the fire hardening. Check out that backset. See the backset on this? I'm telling you, couldn't be any more happier. From disaster, what was going to be disaster, to a working bow, incredible. You know, I'm very blessed that things went right. All right, we'll wait till Chris comes over and then we're going to take a couple of shots with this. Okay, I told you Chris was going to stop by and show you his bow that you seen him shoot. And once again, that's from his property.
I just finished it up with, I put antler tip knocks on it. This deer antler that we split on Joe's bandsaw. And the color on this is nothing but a walnut that I picked up off the ground, crushed the husk, and rubbed it on there.
That's incredible.
Pretty nice color.
That is incredible. And so explain this to me again. You crushed it, right?
Yeah.
And the fibers inside is what you rubbed on it?
It's got a green big husk on it.
Right.
Just crush that.
Yeah.
And when they're still really green, you don't get a lot of color out of them. As they start to like get mature and they get like brown, you can crush that, and that brown stuff on the inside. That
is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just crushed it on, left it on for a couple minutes, and wiped it off. Gave it another coat. It took all of maybe 5 minutes.
That is amazing. It's beautiful.
And then I gave it a coat of spar urethane.
What's on the end there?
Oh, the pink, my pink. That's blueberry. I took a blueberry out of the freezer and rubbed it on there. Same thing, just let it sit for a couple minutes, wiped it off, and had a nice little purple stain.
There you go, man. And once again, that he brought over those logs. You're going to see on this video that I'm going to post, you know, splaying and all. And we're going to go out back, and he's going to watch me shoot it because I got a short draw, and that's got a 26 at 26 max. I figured out 26 at 26 max. Otherwise, I think you might break. So we're going to go in the back, take a couple of shots, and Chris is going to make his own string, his own custom string for that bow over here today. And what else did we do? Anything else, or just the string?
Pick out a stave.
Oh yeah, you're going to take some staves home, and you know, you saw in the video all the splits and all the problems I had, and so we just discussed that, and we both you know, agreed that we got to let it. We got to take it easy while we're drying it. So he's getting a couple of good staves, and he's going to let them dry for how long, like you think, maybe?
I'll probably put it up for 6 months, and then we'll check the
moisture content,
and let it dry naturally for a while first.
But I'm really happy with all the problems and splits that you've seen on this video, that I actually got a shootable bow. And the back set. Look at the back set on this, too. Right? It's crazy that we got all this back set on this bow, too. You know? The fire hardening definitely works, and we just have to control taking the moisture out of the wood. I think that's what we have to learn. All right, we'll go shoot this. Let's go shoot. Okay, we're going to do a little shooting. Chris with his bow, mine with this one for the first time.
I want to see you shoot that first. I'm going to stand back.
Yeah, no splinters, okay? So that bag target's probably around 20, and that's like 15. I guess we'll start with the 15, right? Wow, look at that, huh? First shot.
Very nice.
Go ahead, Chris. Start shooting with me. I'm gonna try 20. Come on. Start shooting there. Whoa, not bad, not bad. Try 20 again. Let's see if I get near his arrow. He did a good shot. I don't know where that went.
Right on top, right on the spine.
Okay, so they're shooting a little to the right. All right. Okay, let me try the natural cant, not leaning into it so much. Did it go right more or left?
To the left more, but high again. Right on top of the back.
All right, just shooting them pretty quick. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's watch Chris do a little shoot.
Whoa,
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 hey.
another hole in the fence.
Uh-oh, no, that just bounced off.
Hole in the fence.
But look at Chris's group, and I'm pretty happy. The main thing is it didn't break, and those 700 spline arrows are pretty snappy. I'm shooting 20 yards, they're shooting high. And if they're shooting to the right, I have no pad on this. Once I put a pad, we'll move it over a little bit. But that bow looks beautiful with that stain. I can't believe that's the husk of a walnut. That's unbelievable. All right, we're gonna get our arrows. It was fun shooting. I just wanted you to see the first time ever shooting this, and Chris's beautiful bow. All right, so that's the end of this video. Watch my other videos on Bare Bow Joe. Once again, thanks to Chris for the wooden staves that he supplies from his property. If you ever use this hop hornbeam, I suggest you go slow when you're drying it. Chris, what's the specs on your bow again?
This is 68 inches long. It's 53 pounds.
Yeah, I think that's what it was,
I think it ended up being 53 pounds.
Yeah.
At 28.
Yeah, we're going to do a little Toronto test. Hopefully it'll pick up with the overcast.
$149.
149, so that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
We have to zero that out.
No, just shoot again.
Do it again.
And if you shoot it again and hit the same anchor point, it'll say duplicate. $149, $150, is that what it was?
Yeah.
That thing's shooting really good, man. That's going to be a great hunting bow. Beautiful group, too. Okay, and just for a goof, I'm going to shoot this little bow I just made. And we're going to just see how many feet per second. This 26 at 26 with a 5.5 grain per inch arrow. Little light arrow is going to shoot out of this. .126. All right, 126 is pretty good for this little bow. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, we just wanted to add that on to the video, the chronograph speeds, because you saw the video of him making that bow and me making this bow. You figure you want to know the speeds. Okay, I just want to add on. I just want to show you cleanup. This is how I clean up with this gutter system. Right? It's lined with tin foil. Right? Look at this. Watch. You fold it, kind of pinch it and rip it. Look at this. Oh, what happened? It's clean already. Right? Look at that. How easy is that with the tin foil, right? To clean up after you fire harden your bow. Look at it. That's it. Sorry, I got dust all over Chris there. He's standing downwind. All right, but there we go. And you recycled the bag, threw all the stuff out, and I just wanted to add that on.